I've made a small change on line number 1. So I've added this line here. What exactly this line is all about? So if I read through this line, it says created active variable to hold the status of account. So if I read through this line, it is giving a basic understanding of why this active variable is created. So it is created to basically hold the status of an account. So if you see here, this line that I've added is giving us an understanding of why this variable is being used. When you basically look at a Apex code, there would be so many lines of code that is already there. There could be 100 lines of code. So in case if you are looking at a specific line, or in case if you are looking for a specific functionality, it is hard to find. So which concept would basically help us find the exact functionality that you're looking out for? Comments would basically help us out there. So this concept that I've introduced here is nothing but comments. By adding the comments in the code would help us increase the readability of the code. It would help us in two scenarios. One, let's say if you are looking at an existing code and you are looking for a specific functionality, if you can go through the code by just by reading the comments, which are in English as of now, so that way you can understand what is the reason for that particular piece of code. So that way you can skip those codes that are not necessary and focus on only those or code snippets that are helpful for your functionality. So if you have already 100 lines of code, if you are looking at specific 20 lines of code or code snippet which is of 20 lines, you can skip the other 80 lines just by reading the comments that are there and understanding whether it is helpful for you or not. Adding the comments would basically help the readability of the code. Two, in case if you are writing the code, 6 months down the line, there are chances that we might not retain all the thought process that we had currently while writing the code. So that is why it is equally important to mention for which functionality that we have written this code. So that way it would helpful for us to recollect the information. Also, it would also help the other developers who are working with us for achieving the functionality for a client. So they can also understand why this code is written this way. So how can you add a comment? Just by adding 2 backslashes, you can create a single line comment. So now let's understand what our comments are, and then we'll come back here and add the comments for the next line. Single line comment can be created just by adding 2 backslashes, and you can write the information that you wanted to add for that specific line. Now, an important point that we need to remember is when the system executes this line, any line that is commented out, that would be ignored. Anything after this 2 backslashes is not being considered by the system at the time of execution. So this is an example how you can add your comments so that you can increase the readability of the code. So if you see here, integer count 0 doesn't give you much of an information. If you can add a comment saying that created an integer variable count to store the number of iterations. If you can add that line so that you can understand what is this count variable is all about. Make sure that your name of your variable is specific. In case if that is not possible to write the entire reason why you are creating this variable, always make sure that you add comments. Now let's say if there is a requirement wherein which you need to add multiple comments. So let's say you wanted to mention the user story that you have worked upon, or user story or a change that you have worked upon, so that is properly documented. So that way, in case if you have to do that, you have to add multiple lines. You cannot put everything in a single line. The readability is also important. In case if you want to add multiple lines and comment them out, so you do not have to use this 2 backslashes method for every single line. You can make use of your multi-line comment. What exactly is this multi-line comment? So multi-line comment is an updated version or an super form version of your single line comment. In case if you want to comment multiple lines, that is where you can use your multi-line comment. So how would you initiate a multi-line comment? Put a backslash and an asterisk symbol. Write down all the content that you want and do the opposite of what we have done here. Put an asterisk symbol and a backslash. So that way you can kind of say the system that, yes, this is the start of a multi-line comment and this is the end of your multi-line comment. Here is an example for the same. If you see here, I wanted to draft all the changes that I'm making here, right? So if you see here, I've mentioned the user story number. I've mentioned what this user story is all about. I've mentioned the method name. Do not worry if you do not know what exactly is the method name is. And I've mentioned the author who is making those changes, and I've mentioned the created date also. So this way you can kind of help the others understand why this particular change that is after this comment is there. So that way other people will also understand what is the reason for making this change. In case if you want to add few more details, you can go ahead and do that. So do not put everything here because you have already tagged user story here. So the people who are not kind of confident enough to understand what exactly the functionality is, they can also refer back to this user story, so that way they can get to the clear picture. Make sure that you're not overdoing, make sure that you're not underdoing it as well. So that way the other people would be able to understand it without your presence. Let's apply this new concept that we have learned in the code that we have. In the anonymous window, I'll go ahead and make those changes here. I'll write created for holding. So if you see here, I can go ahead and write down this way in case if I wanted to add a multi-line comment. Instead of putting this 2 backslashes every time, I can make use of my multi-line comment. So just to show you the difference, if I just uncomment this lines and if I simply execute it, so if you see here, I've written something in English which the system would not understand. So if you remember, Apex is a programming language this system would understand. Now I've written something in English language, a language that the system would not know. So let's execute it and understand what would happen if I executed this. If I click on execute, it would give me an error saying that on line number 3, I'm not able to understand what is this for and what is the syntax that you have written. So that is why it is asking me, what is this line that you have written? So we know the English language, but the system doesn't know what is this English language. So anything that the system doesn't understand, let's comment it out. So how can we comment these 3 lines at once? Use multi-line comment, backslash and an asterisk symbol. So that way system would start commenting on all the lines. If you see here, all the lines that are there are commented out. Do we need all the lines to be commented out? The answer is no. So we need the lines to be commented till line number 5. So what I'll do, I'll keep an end of this multi-line comment. So how would I do that? An asterisk symbol and a backslash. So as soon as I put that end of this multi-line comment, all the lines that are commented out previously are uncommented. So whenever you are adding a multi-line comment, make sure you're kind of closing at the right line. If you do not do that, so the entire code would be commented out. So if I put it somewhere here, all this code is considered as commented out. In case if you do not want that, make sure that you're moving the end of the multi-line comment to the right place. So that way do not miss out the lines that you want to be executed. If you want this line number 6 to be executed, make sure that you are commenting out on line number 5. So this is how you can make use of your multi-line comment, and this is how you can use your single line comment. So now if I execute the same code, again a debug log would be generated. If you see here, we'll be seeing the change in the line numbers. If you see here, earlier this, I'm comparing the previous debug log and this debug log. All right, if you see it here, the previous debug log that we have, the current date time is at line number 6. Now, on the latest debug log, it is at line number 9. So why is there is a change? We have added 3 more lines of commenting, which kind of added to the numbering that we have on this anonymous one. Earlier, this was at this place. Now, because we have added 3 lines, it has been at line number 9. So make sure that these 3 lines are not being considered anywhere. Anything that you have commented in the code would not be considered by the system. So these 3 lines would be ignored, and anything that is after this single line comment would also be ignored. So only the system would consider the lines that are not commented. So it would consider till this point, it would consider till this point, and it would ignore these 3 lines, and it would consider the things which are not commented out. All those lines would be considered, and the lines that are kind of mentioned in circles are being ignored. So this is how you can make use of commenting to add information to the other developers when you're writing your programming. So this is quite important. So this would increase your readability of your code. So this is an optional thing. So even though if you do not write any comments also, the code would be executed, but adding the comments is a best practice. That way the other developers would also understand what exactly this piece of code is doing. Always make sure that you're adding right comments so that the information is useful. So I'll move this multi-line comment to the top so that I can write down the topics that we have discussed so far. So we have looked at the developer console, and in the developer console, we have looked at the debug logs. Then we have looked at the anonymous window. Then we have looked at the debug log. Then we have looked at the data types. Then we have looked at comments. So these are the topics that we have discussed so far. So if you see here, the topics section basically helps us understand what exactly the topics that we have discussed, right? So all these lines of code is commented out. You can either add stars here, or you can simply ignore them. I've added them just to have them as a pointers. You can ignore this stars in between. This has nothing to do with our multi-line comments. This would also work if I keep it this way, right? So your start and end of your multi-line comment, this is the start and this is the end of your multi-line comment. Remember, any line that is commented out would be ignored by the system. So far, we have looked at the general syntax of declaring a variable, and we have discussed what exactly is an Apex is. In short, Apex is a strongly typed object-oriented programming language that allows the developers to execute flow and transaction control statements on Salesforce server. And the syntax that we are using in Apex is similar to Java. In case if somebody asks you what exactly is an Apex, you can simply give them the statement. Apex is a strongly typed object-oriented programming language that allows developers to execute flows and transaction control statements on Salesforce servers. And the syntax of the Apex is similar to Java. Right? So we'll break it down, this understanding, in our coming classes. As of now, keep this definition in mind. Now we have seen how exactly we can declare a variable. What if I have to use this variable? So how can I ask the system to go ahead and fetch the value that is there in this variable called act? So if you see this line number 8, this is how it would look like. So if you remember, so they have created a memory block. So when you ask the system to execute line number 8, so this is what would happen. On line number 8, it would basically look at the data type. So data type is Boolean. So this memory block is basically used for accommodating either true or false information. And what is the value that we have assigned to this active variable? We have made it as true. So this is how the system would hold on to this value. So what if I have to use this active variable? So we have declared it. How can I ask the system to give me the value that is inside this active variable? So how can I write that? I can go ahead and write the name of my variable. So if I write the variable name, I might not be able to see the value inside it. So I can write the name of my variable to get that. This line basically gives me the value that is in this one. So how can I show you the value that is there in this active value is true? That is where I'll be using my system.debug. What is the system debug? System debug basically helps us understand what is the value at that current moment of time. So if I wanted to know the value of this variable called active on line number 20, so I can make use of my system.debug. So what is the syntax of the system.debug? Right? System.debug and put two small brackets and a semicolon to mention that it's an end of a statement. You can go ahead and write the variable that you wanted to print. So I wanted to understand what is the value of active at line number 20. At line number 20, I wanted to understand what is the value of this active variable. So I've written this one. In order for me to understand what exactly this active is, kind of adding some extra information. So what is that information? I'm writing a text and attaching it to the variable. So I'll go ahead and write it as this is the value. This is the active value at line 20. So I've written a text which would basically help me understand what exactly this value is. This is the active value at line number 20. And I've given the variable name. So system would basically go and search for this memory block with name called active. Whatever the value that is there, it would basically replace this value with that one. In the memory block, it would go and search for this active value. So whatever that value that is there, it would go ahead and dump that value in place of this active. We'll get the value as true here. What is this plus sign that I've used here? If you see here, this is a string. String basically is enclosed in two single quotes. So this is a string and this is a Boolean value, Boolean data type. So I'm kind of gluing them together with an operator called concatenated operator. So this plus sign is acting like a concatenated operator. So what is this job of this concatenated operator? It acts like a glue. Combine the left-hand side value with your right-hand side value. It acts like a glue and combines the left-hand side value with your right-hand side value. So why we are doing it here? I could have written it in 2 lines. I can write this is the active value at line number 20, and I can write another debug log with active. So I can kind of make the changes this way from here, and I can write system.debug and paste that value here. Then there is no need of this plus operator or this concatenator operator that we're discussing. So now what would happen? This becomes a separate information for me and this becomes a separate information for me. In order to make sure that I'm getting all the information at one place, I'm using this concatenator operator. So it is kind of gluing the left-hand side value with the right-hand side value. So I'm making use of this plus sign and this variable. Right? So first we'll execute it this way, and then we'll also see what would happen if I put them in 2 lines. So I'll put this system debug in 2 lines. So I'll write it down the same debug log in 2 lines just to show you the difference. So one line is for the first one and system.debug in the active value. Then there is no need of plus sign and a semicolon to indicate that it's an end of the line. So if I execute this code, I click on execute. So that is where the system would execute it for me, and I'll be getting the results. Right? I'll be getting the debug log here. Now, if you see here, this is the latest debug log. I can go ahead and search for the lines that I've mentioned, which was debug lines. So these are the line number 20 is something that I can search for, line number 22 and 23. I can search for them, or I can do that, scroll down, search for this square brackets and understand the line. So this is line number 20 and here is my debug log. So user debug is how the system would basically show us. So if you see line number 22 is another debug, user debug, and line number 23 is another debug log output. So if you see here, if you compare it with the code that we have, on line number 20 is where we have asked the system to show all the information at once. If you see, this is active value at line number 20, which is true. Instead of printing active, it has written true. What does that mean? It was going and searching for this active value. Whatever the value that is there inside it, it is basically printing that value for us. So what is the value inside this variable called active? It is true. So it is printing that value here. If I look at line number 22 debug log, it is showing us this is an active value at line 20. So this is the debug log. And there is another debug log where which we are asking the system to give us the active value. So if you see line number 23, we have active. So you can do this way or you can do this way. So this is something that you can make use of so that it is giving you the complete information. If you see there is no space in between this 20 and true, in case if you want to add a space, simply add a space before the single quote. So if I execute it again, I'll get a latest debug log with the latest changes. So what is the latest change that we have done? We have added a space before the single quotes. So if you see here, this is the active value at line 20 and space true. In case if you want to add a colon to understand the difference between this value and this text, you can do that also. So every time searching for this debug logs is quite difficult. So if there are like 100 lines of a debug log that is there, it is difficult to search for your debug log. So if you ask me, is there any easier way to do it? So yes, there is. If you check this checkbox, you can kind of pretty much filter the other lines and look at only the user debug logs. And that way your process of searching for your debug logs would be reduced. Simply check this checkbox and you'll get those debug information, user debug information. So if I uncheck it, it would take me back to the same page where in which we have all the lines listed down here. So if I check this checkbox, all the variable assignment, scope, everything is gone. Only this section is available. Only the user debug logs are available. So you can make use of this checkbox to look at your user debugs. So you can do this exercise for the other variables that we have. Pause this video, print the user debug logs for the other values that we have. I'll do one exercise with you. You can do the rest by pausing this video. So let's say if I want to print the count value, I can go ahead and do that. If you see here, I'm adding a comment, user debug for count variable. I'll write system.debug. This is count variable value. Let's write the variable name. Where can I get the variable name? This is my variable name. Copy that, paste it here, and at the end, put a semicolon. Feel free to do it for other data types that we have, so that way you can get used to this system.debug, execute the code and see the user debug logs. Let's make this code a little interesting. So what I'll do here is, in this count variable, earlier it was set 200. So I'll change it to 200. So how can we change the value in the count variable? So how can we do that? So let's say if I have to change the value from 100 to 200. So how can I change that? Simply refer to the variable. How can we change the value inside our variable called count? So imagine, so we have a memory block with name count and its value is 100. Now I want to change this value to 200. So how can we do that? Again, same concept, refer to your variable name called count. So it would search for this memory block. And now I'm using the concept that we already know, which is assignment operator. I'm using this assignment operator to set the latest value. Since my operation is done, I'll mark the end of the statement by using a semicolon. So just by writing this one, what would happen? System would basically understand this is an end of a statement, and it would, upon executing, it would change the value from 100 to 200. After line number 27, the variable would be looking like this. Now, how can we be sure that this is happening? So on paper, I've mentioned that this is what would happen, but how can I prove that to you? So just by writing system.debug. So I'll write the system.debug here, and I'll say, I'll copy this information. I'll say this is the count variable after line 27. And I'm using the concatenator operator, and I'll be asking the system to get me this value of count. So wherever this value is, it would replace value that is there in the memory block. So as of now, it is 200. If everything goes fine, on line number, this is before 27. This is count variable value before line 27. Right? So this is the after value. If I execute this entire code, that is where I'll be able to understand the difference. So let's say execute this code. Either you can make use of the execute highlighted. If you're using the execute highlighted button, make sure that you're including this line also. So this is the place where we have kind of told the system to create a memory block and assign it to 100. And after that, we are making a change. In case if you are using executed highlighted, make sure that all the necessary lines are kind of selected, right? So if you are okay, go ahead with your execute button. So I'm going with this execute button. So if I click on execute, the code would be executed and a debug log would be opened for us. I'm not interested in all other lines here. So I'm interested in only the user debug logs. So I'll check this checkbox. So that is where I'll get to know my debug logs that are there in this code. So if you see, this is the code that I have. The first debug log came at line number 20. So this says this is an active value. We are not interested in these two values. So if you look at this debug 20, so this is something that we have looked at already. So this is line number 20 and 22. So this is not our point of interest. Same is the case with line number 23. So this is not also a point of interest because we are not looking at these values. We are interested in our latest change that we have done, which is nothing but our count variable. So I'll go ahead and arrange this anonymous window in a way that we can read the both lines together. So if you see here on line number 25, we have the first debug for the count variable, which is this count variable value before line number 27. What is the value that is there? It is 100. Instead of count, it is replaced with 100 because that is the value that we have before line number 27. So this is before 27. And after 27, what we have done, we have kind of asked the system to change that value to 200. So on line number 27, we have made a change. So now the value became 200. So how can I prove that to you? So on line number 28, we have this count variable value after line number 27 is again count is what I've asked the system to give me. So I've asked the system to give me the value that is there in this count. So if you see here debug log, it says 200. Whatever that we have changed on line number 27 is reflected on our 28 debug log. So when do you use your user debug? So in case if you wanted to know what exactly is the current value of this count variable or any variable that you have of point of interest, you can make use of your debug log. You can make use of your debug log and write a system.debug to make sure that you are printing that variable name so that you can kind of compare what exactly is the value at that current point of time.